Welcome to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast, featuring in-depth interviews with people in hip-hop culture, based out of New England. Leeds. All right, man. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Chilling, man. What's new?
New album just dropped, same
New
old same
album.
old.
I like that. New album. I'm looking at your albums in the back there, man. What do you got? You got Acrobatic classic his album there. Onyx, what's that? Organized Confusion,
Yeah.
Moment of Truth, classic, Sean Price. What is that? It's the top left there. Is that Freddy Krueger? I can't tell.
Um. Oh, up here you talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah, which was
Time
that?
Machine. Shout out to my
Oh,
boy DJ Mechalek. That's Rhode Island right there.
oh,
Yeah,
okay. And then you got Mr. Lift into the Colossus.
yeah. Love that album.
Yeah, man. That's great. Classic, classic albums right there. A lot of classic underground albums.
And of course, the Moment of Truth.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that for hip hop, in my opinion.
And this is actually the new test press of my new album. So we'll have the vinyls for that next month.
Nice, dude. Yeah, man, I miss my record collection. I used to have one back in the day, but not anymore.
No, you got rid of the records.
I did because I got sold everything when I was DJing. I just sold it all.
So you got like CDs or tapes or
I have a book of CDs, but that's just sitting there collecting dust.
yeah.
But I got everything's streaming now, so but that's
Yeah.
cool that you still have the records.
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, I was like a maniac collecting CDs and cassette tapes and records. I just started collecting full-length albums a few years ago, like 6 years ago or something. And
So 6 years ago, you started your record collection?
well, I already had a lot of 12-inch singles because I had turntables when I was like 13.
Oh, wow.
But they were belt drives, so like I would try to DJ, but the needle would be hopping all over the record.
Yeah, you can't scratch on those. You can mix on those. You can't scratch on those.
Yeah, it was good for like blends and stuff like that.
Yeah. So are you born and raised in Pawtucket?
Yeah, well, I was born in the outskirts of Atlanta,
I lost your volume. Shit. One second.
oh
Hold on.
yeah.
So are you born and raised in Pawtucket?
Well, yeah, I was raised in Rhode Island my whole life, but I was actually born on the outskirts of Atlanta. But I've been in New England since I was like 3 months old. Yeah.
So you're born in Atlanta and then moved instantly to into Rhode Island?
Yeah, so my parents when I was born, they were applying for jobs and my father got a job offer in Rhode Island. So that's how I ended up here and yeah, we never left. Been there forever.
I read on your bio you come from a family of artists and musicians.
Yeah, so well, my father is a poet and my mother also writes poetry as well. And he's a professor for creative writing. That's the job offer he got to Rhode Island College. And my mother was also a part-time English teacher and she's an artist as well. She paints, she does quilts, she does a lot of really cool stuff.
So what's that like growing up with parents like that?
It was very interesting. There was like a lot of art all over the house, and they also collected records too. So, they would play a lot of jazz, like Miles Davis. That's who I was named after. They- yeah, they were listening to Miles Davis when I was being born. So, yeah. Uh, and James Brown. My mother loves James Brown. And I actually share the same birthday as him, so that's interesting as well. But yeah, a lot of music and I was a only child. So I think maybe that was my obsession with hip hop at such a young age. I feel like I kind of treated it as like a sibling that I never had, because I'd be alone a lot, just listening to whatever cassette tape or CD that I had and just studying it over and over. I remember one of the first tapes I had was not the first tape, but one of them was The Predator by Ice Cube. And I just remember just playing it over and over and over. Oh, wow.
It's funny because this is the second time this has come up in 2 weeks. That's an original from 1992 that I had
Wow.
that when that came out.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
I mean, yeah, that was like, that had to have been like a good almost a year in my tape Walkman nonstop.
yeah.
And I just saw people were saying America's Most Wanted or Death Certificate. But for me, it's The Predator. I don't know if it's because that was the first one I had when it came out. It could be, but I always go with The Predator.
Ice Cube was such a problem back then. You know what I mean? Because it's
Oh
like
yeah.
I I'd heard of Ice Cube before I started listening to hip hop. So like I was into rock music. I didn't make the change to hip hop until like early '90s, and there's all this controversy. This guy Ice Cube, he's anti-Semitic. He's this, he's that, and first time I heard him, like I went to my neighbor's house. I never heard him. He's like, "Oh, you gotta hear this guy Ice Cube," and he plays me "Bird in the Hand" off their Death Certificate, and I was
Mm.
like, I couldn't believe what he was saying, man. I was like, I never heard anything like that. You know what I mean? Like someone rapping about that content and whatnot. And then I was like, rap was kind of cool. But then Predator came out. And I was like, I gotta buy this tape, and the intro to the end, forget about it.
Oh, the way it started,
Oh, the
stomping.
way it started is the craziest intro ever.
Oh,
American Me
crazy.
sample, the American Me
Yeah,
sample,
yeah.
and the skits on there, and it's just, it, I went back. America's Most Wanted, I think, is like his most classic album because it's his first. And a lot of people say that that's the best album because it's Bomb Squad.
Yeah, that was
Um,
interesting how he had Bomb Squad do all the production after leaving NWA. That
yeah.
was interesting.
And Death Certificate is probably his most controversial one,
Yeah.
but Predator's got my favorite songs on it though.
Oh man,
Yeah.
so many. There's so many good songs.
Did you like the Check Yourself remix or the original better?
Um, at the time, which was the one with the video? It was
Video
track.
is the remix. The video is the remix.
So yeah, when it first came out, I liked the remix more. I mean, I was like 7 years old.
Yeah, the original to me, I love the original. I think Muggs did the DJ Muggs did the original.
Really, I know.
Yeah,
I know. Bugs did one of my favorite songs on the Predator. Now
make
I
it rough.
gotta get you.
Oh yeah,
Now
yeah,
I gotta wet you. Yeah,
yeah. That
classic.
intro, when will they shoot though? Like the intro sample into the first song, when will they shoot? Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think "When Will They Shoot" is probably one of the hardest ways, like first song of an album of all
Absolutely,
time. It's up there.
absolutely.
The
So
energy, crazy.
yeah, and the skits on there too. The skits are the interludes and stuff. It's great.
Oh yeah.
Did you like Lethal Injection?
Yeah, I love Lethal Injection. I thought maybe it was like a minor dip down from the first three albums, but it was still to me almost a front to back. I mean, I think at the time the single kind of threw me off, the Bop Gun single, but I appreciate that more now. But when I was younger, I think that was the one song that kind of threw me
Yeah,
off a little
and
bit.
the original was like 10 minutes long, I think.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was very long.
to
They
me
were
that
just
album
banging.
to me that album he was like trying to like mimic the Chronic sound, with the Parliament samples and kind of going in the G-funk lane, whereas the earlier albums I thought were like a lot harder hitting, so I like Lethal Injection, but I'm much more of a fan of Predator, Death Certificate,
Yeah, yeah, it definitely
America's
got a little
Most.
more West Coast, like with Ghetto Bird or
Yeah.
how we do it. Yeah, it's
Really
definitely
dope.
yeah, more G Funk stuff in there. But I love G Funk also, man. I
Oh, you
love.
do?
I think Doggy Style is one of my favorite albums. Sonically, you could listen to that to this day; it'll still sound brand new.
Yeah. So you listened to this stuff at 7 years old, huh?
Yeah, I started listening to hip hop pretty much as far back as I can remember. Maybe like 6 years old. I think the first CD I had was LL Cool J Radio, and obviously that's backtracking because this was like 91 and that was what, 85, I think, radio.
Yeah.
So, and my first cassette tape was actually Apocalypse 91, Public Enemy.
Fire too.
So and then
Yeah.
I was all in by like 92, and yeah, it's just so much great albums came out over and over. I actually got a funny story about the Onyx album. So that was one, like I first saw the Slam video and the Throw Your Guns video on I think MTV. I had to have been like 7 years old, and I was just like, I never saw anything like it. I was like, what is this? This energy is just crazy. So I always wanted that album. And of course, my parents, being normal parents, were like, no fucking way, you're not getting this album.
Back the fuck up. Come on.
Yeah, and then you look at the track listing, like every song almost has a curse words in it, you know. So for I used to like try to steal it out of the stores, and my friends would have it. I'd listen to it with them, but I always wanted my own copy. And it took 2 years, and then my mother said, you get all A's and B's for the whole year. This is like 95. This is like 2 years later. And
Yeah.
we'll get you the album. So I did it. I got all A's and B's. I got the Onyx album, and that might have been the last time I got all A's and B's ever.
Yeah, that's the only time you were worth putting in the extra effort was to get an Onyx tape. I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. We know what it's not really talked about much, but Sticky Fingaz is got to be one of the most unique MCs in hip hop. Like,
He's my favorite. Growing up, he was my favorite MC because like
he-
I don't think anybody could outdo him on a song. It was kind of like the same vibe that Busta Rhymes would bring to a song. Basically, like when they rap, nobody raps after that. Like so yeah, Sticky Fingaz, definitely one of my idols, biggest inspirations. It's just like the way he said what he said and the energy he had. It was just like unmatched.
yeah, total unorthodox style, and he's basically rapped along some of the greatest, and he's not been outshined. Someone might technically rap better than him, but his style is so unique it doesn't even freaking matter.
Yeah, like what was it? The Shut 'Em Down remix,
Oh,
where
fire.
Big Pun, one of the most technical
Yeah,
rappers, but then Sticky raps after him, and it's like, well, I'm not as technical as you, but I'm
right.
gonna hold my own on this record, you
Yeah,
know.
and Eminem, he was next to
Oh,
Eminem.
that was the best verse on that whole album, in my opinion.
He's been next to DMX. He's been next to Method Man. He's been next to there's a
Tragedy
butt
Gaddafi.
tragedy. I mean, he's been, and even when I hear him, I heard some track with him recently. I was like, he still sounds great. He's just
Yeah, his voice is a little different. Like I think his voice is kind of giving out a little. But I mean, if you're going on, they do a lot of shows, man. So
a
like, if you're just
lot.
like touring, and they scream when they're on stage. So if you do that every day, I mean, it's bound to catch up to you, I think.
And you got to give Onyx credit because they never really strayed from what they did originally. Like, they are still repping the same style that they've done as Onyx now. Like, you go to see them live, they're still playing all the hits from back then.
It's
It's crazy.
crazy. I would have never thought that, at that time in the 90s, that they'd still be on tour today. And they still look great. They put on, I mean, you've done a lot of shows for them. I've been to a few that you
Done a
put on.
couple. Yeah.
I opened up at one,
Yep.
I think like 10 years ago,
Yep.
when they had that album with Snow Goons.
Yep.
That was a crazy show. They tore it down over there, Middle East.
Yeah. Those first two Onyx albums, man, are great albums.
I'd say the first three, Shut Them Down, I think.
Oh, I forgot about Shut Down. I thought the third one, but
I
you're
think
right.
I think they were like lyrically in their prime on Shut 'Em Down. There was a lot of great songs on there. It was kind of long, but it was basically a front to back, I think.
Nice.
It's a good first three album run. I was actually talking about that recently, like 3 album runs. And I think like, Onyx had a good 3 album run. like first 3 albums. Ice Cube, Redman, Cypress Hill, you know. But
Yeah,
there's not a lot. There's not a lot. Like even some of the greatest, you know, they don't have a solid first 3 album run.
right. And then you got someone like Gangstar who makes arguably their best album as their fourth album.
So I'm trying to think here. So no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Step in
Stephanie
the Arena.
Arena.
Oh, fifth
Hard to
album.
earn.
Fifth
Hard to
album.
earn. Moment of Truth, you're saying.
Yeah, fifth album. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Oh, arguably,
I see you got the
arguably,
Hard to Earn poster behind you too.
arguably, it's always a debate: hard to earn versus Moment of Truth, and it's only because there's just two different mind states of those albums. You know, like Hard to Earn is like the most die-hard raw hip hop album you probably will ever hear in its purest form, but conceptually, Moment of Truth, from a conceptual where those guys were at making that album mentally, personally, what they were going through, it's like a whole nother thing. So it's like it's hard to compare the two.
They
You know?
say it's lonely at the top, and whatever you do, you always gotta watch motherfuckers around you.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my favorite Guru song, I
yeah,
think, ever. The way it was so well written, that title track. Oh
yeah.
man, it never
And
gets
the
old.
beats were elevated. The production was elevated on that album.
Yeah, they definitely elevated on that. But
They hit
I
harder.
feel like Daily Operation doesn't get talked about enough too, because I think
Well, look what it's next to. It's next to Hard to Earn
I got it
and
right there with Hard to Earn. I think they're neck and neck.
yeah,
I think
Daily
they're,
Operation's great.
yeah, but yeah, Hard to Earn. Yeah, that had the bodyguards.
Mass Appeal.
Oh yeah, Mass Appeal. Forget about
You know, tons of guns, front to back.
yeah,
Forget about.
for sure.
And
For
Daily
sure.
Operation's great too.
Take
It's
two and
next.
pass. Take two and pass. Oh,
You know,
I
and Step
loved
in the
it.
Arena is great too. You know, Step in the Arena is a great album too.
That was
So
one that I had to go back. A lot of albums because of my age, you know, like I had to go back and listen to that one. So that one didn't resonate with me as much as the others that we just mentioned. But
yeah, and I had to go back too because I started in the '90s. I had to go back to the '80s. So I was like, I had to go back to all of that.
yeah,
But you,
same.
so you started rapping in what 1998?
99, the beginning of 99. I was 13. Yeah. I think I was freestyling in 98, but I actually started writing rhymes in 99.
Yeah, how'd that process go for you?
Well, it's funny, actually, shout out to my boy Robin Crates. We met each other in like the second grade, and I mean, he loved hip hop. Like we both already loved hip hop before we met one another. And he was like 6 months younger than me, and he actually was already writing, like he knew how to write in bars and everything. I would just freestyle with him. And we would just like nerd out on hip hop albums, as little kids, and freestyle. So then he had a turntable set up in his room, and we had just went to Skippy White's in Providence. We used to always go there and check the dollar
Oh,
bins.
they had one out there too.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
wow,
for
I didn't know
sure.
that.
Oh
It's a
yeah, it was
legendary. That was a legendary spot in Boston.
yeah, it was. So we had Skippy White's in Providence, and we had Luke's Records in Pawtucket. Those were the two spots where you could get a lot of gems. So yeah, so basically he was writing to DJ Premier beat. He had the instrumental of the 12-inch. It was
Yeah,
actually Freddie Fox, Bumpy Knuckles, Part of My Life.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and that was and then he was like, yo, you gotta get on this. I'm like, I mean, I don't know how to write a verse.
Yeah.
So he taught me like what a bar was. He taught me how to count bars, and he's like, yo, just write me like 12 bars. So I wrote them quick, and then there it was. I also didn't have a rap name at that time. So I'm like, I don't even got a rap name. And he knew that I loved Bumpy Knuckles, and we were writing to the Bumpy Knuckles beat. And he's like, we gonna call you Knuckles. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of like biting, I think, but nah, you ain't Bumpy Knuckles, you just Knuckles. And I was like, all right. So that was my first rap name. And then I changed it to Nux and K Nux. And then eventually down the road, just use my own name.
Miles
Better than
Grimes.
all of them. Yeah.
I want to talk about, so how did you start? What was it like coming up in Rhode Island?
Oh, it was so much fun. Because when I started writing in '99, I started going to open mics, and like I think my first open mic was February 2000, and it was at the Ocean Mist. You ever heard of that spot?
It sounds familiar. I'm trying to think of where was it?
They they used to have some crazy hip hop shows, and every show had an open mic. And this show, it was Talib Kweli was headlining, but they had 7L and Esoteric, Apathy. I think Self Title was with them, J Live, um,
So
and a few others too. Yeah, it was a crazy lineup. So, and back then the open mics, like when you signed up, the crowd was like packed wall to wall, and they would boo the shit out of you if you weren't good too. So, but they embraced me, man. I was so nervous. I was like looking at my feet on the stage because I'm like 14 at that time, and yeah, I just rapped for like 4 minutes, and the crowd embraced me. And Mr. Liff even came up to me that day like, yo, you nice, you know. So that was just unbelievable to me that everyone loved the rhyme that much, you know.
so that must have gave you some confidence to pursue this
Yeah,
thing.
so I went back a month later, and everyone knew who I was. And this was Mr. Liff and Acrobatic headlining with Breeze Everflowing, Poison Pen. So, and it was the same result. Everyone loved my 4 minutes on the stage again. And so from there I started going to a lot of local open mics. And it was interesting because a lot of Boston cats would come out here to perform. So it was a mixture of like Providence, Pawtucket, Boston. And what was cool was back then everyone always freestyled, even if it was like the headliner. Nobody was too cool to freestyle. There was always ciphers outside of the venue in the bathroom. So I met a lot of great people that became lifelong friends through those days. That was a very special time period. Like DJ Mechalek, for instance. Shout out to my boy Mech. He was the DJ at all these open mics, and we became friends, and now we make albums together, you know. So yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of good times.
there was a lot of talent that came out of Rhode Island. Um, you guys had, you had a good scene. I remember hearing about Rhode Island hip hop scene as soon as I came to Boston. Is name some of the people you know better than me. I know some names, but I'll let you say the names because they're better
So
at it.
well, the name everyone knows is Sage Francis, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he was heavy in the battle scene back then.
yeah, he was.
Sage was battling everybody
Yeah, he
anywhere,
was.
and he was beating everybody
He
too. So
was.
shout out to Sage. He held us down. Aside from that, I mean, one of my best friends, Swan Nadi. So he
Yeah.
was in a group called Roulette. It was Swan Nadi and Sean Jackson, legends. I mean, when I first started rapping, those guys already had a 12-inch vinyl
Yeah.
out, and I mean, they already mastered their craft. They were like, I was like, I can't believe these people live in my backyard. You know, like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just didn't make any sense. Eighth Wonder, legendary producer, MC. He was a mentor of mine. So like my two mentors, I'd say, were Eighth Wonder and Swan Nadi mostly. And I mean, they taught me a lot, man. I don't think I'd even be here talking to you if it wasn't for them. So shout out to them. Um, I mean, DJ Mechalek had Time Machine, and he was also in the other group, Funk Bunker Fleet, which was Roman Rock. He was one of the best MCs from Rhode Island, and Japan. So they were all in that group with DJ Mech, albums. Um, yeah, I mean, there's so many. Clockworks. They were from Woonsocket. Clockworks.
Yeah.
They had a
Clockwork.
real dope record out. Mental Flux, classic.
One of those guys. What are the names of the guys in that group?
Amzuno. Um, Amzuno is the one that I always remember. Oh man, you stumped me. See, I didn't know them
Is
personally.
Amzuno the black guy?
No, no.
Who's the black guy in the group? I want to say he got into it with me. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I forget.
Man, you stumped me. You stumped me on
I stopped myself.
my
Well,
own
one
state.
time I forget his name. I thought he was in. I thought he was in that group, and he this is the MySpace days. He hit me up like he wanted to get on shows, and I didn't. And I was just starting out. I didn't have it, and he got all mad at me, and we went back and forth. Hopefully, it's cool. I want to know who he is because I forget his name. We're gonna find that out. You look that up on your
Oh,
phone.
Dirty Ice is calling me right now. Let me see. Let me ask him.
Yeah, who we need the group members in
Yo,
Clockwork.
Ice. Yo, I'm on the podcast with Leedz right now. We trying to find out who is the black dude's name in Clockworks. You don't know?
Don't know. Do we know any of the dude?
Nah, he doesn't know. Yo, I'll hit you up as soon as this is over. All right.
Maybe there was maybe I got the face wrong with the name, but I could have sworn.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, anyways, moving on.
So that was Dirty Ice, aka Demean Cyrone. He was in a group called Busted Fro back then, but they were, I believe, technically from New Bedford or Fall River, or maybe both. But that was another group that was around a lot in those days. And now he's half of Dirty Dirty.
Yep.
You're familiar with them, right?
Yep. I've had them on there, and one of them on here.
Yeah, Grimez. Yeah.
Chachi, right?
Oh yeah, Chachi. That's my big bro right there.
Chachi.
He's the mayor of Pawtucket.
He is.
He's just a great all around person, man. He's like a people person. Whenever I'm with him in Pawtucket, I always feel like people know me, but then when I'm walking up the street with him, it's like literally every single person, young people, old people, everyone's just like, yo, that's Chachi, shout out to him. He's one of the best MCs too from Rhode Island.
John Hope, right?
Yup, Providence, yeah, legendary, yeah.
Let's talk about the difference between Pawtucket and Providence.
There's really not much of difference, man. They border one another. I think it's just because Rhode Island's so small that like everyone had their own little crews, and the sounds did sound different, like Providence, Pawtucket, Cranston, Woonsocket. Everyone did have their own sound back then. But I mean, it's all the same, man. Rhode Island is a very small state, so
yeah. The Met, is the Met the best spot to see a show in Rhode Island?
It's one of them, yeah. I think right now maybe they got a great sound system, a nice stage. They got new owners over there, so I don't got the plug over there anymore.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's
you've rocked some good shows there.
Oh yeah. I used to do a good amount of shows there over the years.
What's some of the best shows you've seen there?
At the Met?
Yeah.
I'd have to say the best show I saw at the Met would be it was Ghostface Killer and Adrian Young when they dropped that album 12 Reasons to Die.
Fire.
They had like a band on the stage. Everyone had masks on, and I actually got on stage because Ghost, I think it was a thing he did at every show. He'd be like, yo, I need someone from the crowd to come up here and do a Old Dirty's verse for Protect Your Neck. So I went up there and, I did the ODB verse, got in my ODB character, and Ghost did his verse. That was a real legendary moment for me as a fan, I got off the stage, my friends were like, yo, you was just on stage with the God, man.
And Adrian Young backing you up.
Yeah, and Killer Priest too. He was also there. Yeah.
Shout out Killer Priest.
Yeah.
I think the first time I met you, we've talked about this, is when I was picking up R.A. the Rugged Man at the hotel for a Middle East show, and you were just there with him, and you hopped in the back of my ride with R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yeah.
And you made it on stage that night for my show.
Yeah. Yeah, cause yeah, that was cause there was a contest that he threw and I ended up winning the contest. So he would whenever he came to New England, he'd always hit me up. He actually I was just there last year. I don't know,
Yeah.
did you do that show last year with
Was that the Middle East?
yeah,
Yeah,
Ari and
I didn't book it. I helped promote it. It was RA and Onyx, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He
yeah,
brought me to stage at that one. So like
yeah.
he
You're
still
right.
does that. Yeah, he always reaches out to me every time he comes around Boston, Rhode Island. He always hits me up.
What was the contest?
It was called Murderous Lyricist competition. It was in 2011. And it was probably like, I don't know, 300 to 500 MCs, and where you would just like submit a YouTube video or you rapping over whatever beat or acapella. Just
Yeah,
basically spit your craziest bars, submit it,
yeah.
get in the contest. And yeah, I beat everybody. So
Good job.
thank you. And that's actually how I met my wife, Alyssa Marie. She
Yes.
she was a she was a finalist in that. She almost beat me. Um,
Whoa.
almost, not quite. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
And yeah, my boy Dirty Ice from Dirty Dirty, he was a finalist. So yeah, a lot of great things came from that. I still never got my verse that RA owes me, but I did meet my wife through that contest, so that's the real trophy right there.
That's worth more.
Yeah,
Shout out Alyssa
absolutely.
Marie. For those who don't know, female MC putting in work in the Massachusetts scene for a long time.
Oh
Is
yeah,
she still doing a thing?
yeah.
I see her post every once in a while, but I haven't seen her in a show or anything.
She's crazy, man. When anytime she
Crazy
show
in a good way or a bad way? It's your wife. We were on
in
camera
a
here. We
very
can
good way, very good way. I'm saying MC wise. uh,
focus.
it's like it got to a point where if I'm gonna start writing songs and she has something new to show me, I won't listen until I'm done writing what I gotta write. Cause like, yeah,
Right. Throws you
like
off.
I'm gonna be like, well, how am I gonna write like that? Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, no, I'll listen to that when I'm done writing what I'm writing. It's just the rhyme patterns, it's just so advanced. It's crazy. Yeah.
So what's that like being married to another MC? That I gotta know.
It's actually very normal, everyone always asks me like, "Yo, do y'all like battle each other when you
You
argue?"
are, yeah,
It's
dude, that's
not like
hilarious.
nah, it's not like that. It's very normal. It's cool because we can both enjoy watching like battles together. We would do that a lot, like watch a lot of battles on the TV together, and so that's cool.
I think
Um,
also understanding each other's passions and stuff, that's huge.
yeah, yeah, that would probably be the biggest thing right there.
Right.
'Cause, yeah, if you don't write or you're not involved with music, you'll just be like, "What are you doing? You're
Yeah, you're
just
wasting
like
your time.
in the other room all night for what?"
Right. I think you're just like goofing off, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's great, dude. I'm glad that it's all working out. And I wasn't sure when you guys actually got married because I was like, are they still engaged? I know it was a while ago, but I I couldn't tell.
We were engaged for like 4 years,
Yeah, yeah,
3 or 4 years. Well, it was because of like the lockdown, the pandemic. We had a wedding date that got canceled because of
yeah.
that, and yeah, so we had a couple wedding dates, and finally we just um officially got married last July. Yeah,
Okay. Congratulations, brother.
thank you, thank you.
July what?
July 15th.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm born July 6th, so that's why I was curious.
Oh, close, close. It's like
Yeah, close.
9 days after. Yeah. And when we got introduced, we came out rapping one of the songs we did together. So that
Yeah.
was yeah, we didn't
So
really
why?
post anything about it, but
Yeah, why is there not an album together? I haven't seen that yet. I was shocked that hasn't happened.
we've spoke about it before. Our processes are kind of different, like I'm like a night writer. I like to stay up, like, when the sun goes down, I start writing and just
Yeah,
stay up the whole night and just write a bunch of stuff. And I think she's
nice.
more like a daytime writer.
Yeah,
But we have done a good amount of songs. I think we've done like 6 or 7 songs over the years.
cool. So you've also, like I said, besides Eye of the Rugged Man, you've also worked with Cool G Rap, Fredro Starr, Crooked Eye, Rock This Monster, and then most recently Benny the Butcher. Um, any highlight memories from these experiences?
Oh yeah, there's highlights from all of them. The Benny one was cool because we reached out to him before he had dropped Tana Talk 3. So this was like, he was on the come up, and like I was into Conway and West Side Gun already, and I heard him on a couple of their albums, and I'm like, yo, who's that right there? I was like, that dude sounds crazy. So, we reached out to him and set up the song, and I remember when he sent the verse to us, he actually called me a few days after, and I was just like, yo, what's good? And he's like, oh, I just want to know what you think about the new album, because Tana Talk 3 just dropped. And I was like, really? You want to know what I think? That was cool. Wasn't expecting that, you know
That's dope.
but yeah, very cool, man. I got to meet Conway at that Griselda show at Middle East. That's where when me and Benny shot the video before they had the show, and Conway also had a video shoot that day, so I got to hang out with him for a while. Very cool cats, very
Yeah.
humble.
And that album was that Benny feature was on was produced by. Help me pronounce his name. I don't want to get it wrong.
Well, we all pronounce it wrong because we,
Thought-
we call him Kayo, but in France they call him Kyo. But Rusty Jukes was the first one out here. Shout out to Rusty, that's a great friend of mine. He
yeah,
was
dope.
he was the first one to do an album with Kayo, and he pronounced it Kayo Itachi on the records. And then we found out years later when we actually met Kayo, he's like, they actually call me Kyo in Paris, but he's like, but I'll be Kayo in the USA. And we're
So
like,
he's
okay.
French.
Yes, yeah, he's from
Doesn't
Paris.
sound. It doesn't sound like a French name.
It sounds Japanese,
That's
right?
what I'm saying. It doesn't sound
And
French.
yeah, I remember Rusty Jukes had me dying. He was like, yo, so when I met Kyle, I was like, wait a minute. How you a black dude with a Japanese name, but you're French?
Yeah, exactly.
But he's great. I love Kyle. I love Kyle's beats and his hunger. I've done a lot of work with him over the years as well. So yeah, shout out to him. They
Yes.
actually, I think that was because of the RA contest as well. And Marco Polo also hit me up because of that. His boy Shiloh, shout out to Shot a Beat Yoda. He heard me on the Rusty Jukes Kyle Itachi album, and then showed Marco, and then Marco hit me up to get on to work with him for his album. And that's how I have some Marco Polo beats on some of my projects as well. Marco's a very cool cat. I saw that you had him on here a
Yeah.
few months ago. Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
him.
I've met.
One of the
We've.
best.
Yeah. His beats hit, man. They hit.
Oh yeah.
Who are some of the other producers you really like for beats?
Just some of my favorite producers,
Yeah.
or
Not necessarily people you work with, but some of the like. Cool.
so I mean, growing up, I mean, I always thought, Dr. Dre was the best, and there's a lot of arguments that he wasn't doing everything, and Dad was doing this and that, and but my argument to everyone that always says that is, well, how come when Daz was making his own stuff, it doesn't sound like that? Or same with Scott Storch. They're like, oh, Scott Storch did all the stuff on 2001. I'm like, so how come when he's not with Dr. Dre, it doesn't sound anything like that? So I don't know what they do behind closed doors, but all I know is that that sound only comes out when Dr. Dre's involved. So he
Right.
was always one of my favorites. I mean, DJ Premier, obviously. That's Large Pro, Pete Rock, Madlib. Um, man, there's so many. Alchemist, Havoc,
The legends.
RZA, of course, RZA.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And, oh, also I'm gonna say Kanye too. I'm gonna say Kanye because Kanye had actually had a hell of a run, man. You talk about 3 album runs.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he's still running. He's still going.
he's doing something. I don't know what he's doing.
He's still going number one when he comes
Yeah,
out, I'll tell you.
that's good. But I mean, like that was a time where I feel like hip hop was really not doing good at all, and he was like a bright spot. I
Yeah.
felt at that time. So
So what's the Rhode Island scene like these days?
so I mean, I feel like it's probably similar to Boston, right? Like I feel like these local scenes were like the energy and the passion, everything was elevated a lot more, I feel like, in the late 90s, early 2000s. I feel like all of the scenes around here all kind of not sizzled out, but like everyone stopped like uniting as one, and going to these shows. Like I don't know. I will say one thing was freestyle battles used to be very popular. We all used to do that where you sign up for the battle, you don't know who you're gonna battle, and then the DJ drops a beat, you don't know what beat it's gonna be, and then they just announce you and the other guy, and you know we used
Yeah.
to do that all the time. I would win some, lose some. I wasn't the best or the worst, but I always held my own in those situations, and I think when that stopped, that might have kind of uh, been the time that some of the energy was kind of lost from the local scenes. Not just based solely off that, but I feel like it was around that time. Um, Maybe like after 8 Mile came out, and then battles kind of shifted into like written battles and not freestyle battles. Because I did one of those too. Because they offered me a guaranteed payout, win or lose. It wasn't my thing, but I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I luckily I won that one too. But that was the only time I did that because I mean that was a lot of work, man. You like write all this material just for one night, and then
Yeah.
that's it. I was like, man, I could have spent that time writing songs, man.
Yeah.
And
That's
those are timeless.
when someone explained it to me like that, like you write all this like an almost like an album's worth of material to
Yeah.
only do it once and never do it again. I was like, wow, that's a little crazy to me.
It's like training for a boxing fight. Like
Right.
you train and train, and then you got that one fight, and then it's over. That's it.
Right. Let's talk about the new album, 13K.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind this one?
So Bombdrop is another one of my best friends from Pawtucket, and we've always been real tight. And over the years, we've done a lot of songs together, and a lot of people have always said, "Yo, I like when you and Bombdrop work together the best." I think that's always the best shit. Um so we decided a couple years ago, like, yo, let's just start doing some songs and see if we find a groove, and then maybe turn it into a project. um so I mean, it's always fun working with Bomb Drop because he always just sends me like 5 beats at a time, and I'm always like, damn, which one do I pick. um it's always a lot of fun. We went into it. It was his idea for us to have a lot of features for this album, because he dropped a producer album about 10 years ago just full of a whole bunch of features, and so he kind of wanted it to be similar to that, like just a couple solo tracks with me, and then a lot of tracks with me and other people. We included a lot of Rhode Island MCs and also a few legendary MCs from around the country. um yeah, it was just a lot of fun. um I think we made like 18 songs, and we scrapped like 4 or 5 songs. I always like to do that. I always like to have a couple songs too many, and then trim the fat, pick the best songs to put out. um so yeah, I'm very proud of it. Very proud of the album. The name 13K came from the title track. That was before we had the album name. It was there's a Raekwon sample that Bombdrop put in the beginning of the beat where he's like, since 13, 14, he always been 1,000 with it. So I started my verse like since 13, I've been batting 1,000. So that and that's how we named the song 13K. But Bombdrop has the number 13 is like his lucky, unlucky number that always haunts him. And so that was a reason. And that's also the year I started rapping when I was 13. And there's 13 songs on the album. So we're basically like we're batting 1,000 on every song, you know. That's what it is.
I like that. Well, man, that's dope, man. Congrats on the new album, man. And you got the vinyl coming too, right?
Yeah, we should have those in a few weeks. The vinyls, we press CDs. I made a very limited run of these hats.
Nice.
I'm not even selling those online. Those are just hand to hand. And yeah, man, just very, very excited and fortunate that we were able to drop this project.
Dope, and that's out now everywhere. And what we got? What we got in store for the future?
So I have a couple other things I'm also working on. Me and DJ Mechalek just put out an album. I want to say last year, or was it the end of 2022? We dropped it called Feng Shui, where Mechalek is making all the beats. He's another great producer to work with. It's always very fun working with him. He's involved in the creative part when I'm writing. So yeah, that's always a lot of fun. We've been working on some new things, me and him. So we'll see if that materializes into another project. And been working with Block McCloud a lot lately. That's my homie right there.
Yeah,
My big
good dude.
bro Block. It's cool. My relationship with Block because I was always a big fan of Word of Mouth, Brooklyn Academy, Lyricist Lounge was the first time I heard them famous last words. And that was before I was even rapping. So it's surreal to be working with people like that that you come up listening to. It's definitely a cool thing. So yeah, expect some more songs with me and Block and me and DJ Mechalek and me and Bombdrop still making songs. And we'll see if I could get something going with Alyssa. I don't know. I gotta see if I could keep up with her.
I
It's
think that's
gonna
a
be
great idea.
yeah, I mean, easier said than done, right? You don't want to be getting
Apparently,
embarrassed by your wife,
hey, if there's
8
anybody
albums
to
in
get
a row.
embarrassed by, if there's anybody to get embarrassed by, it's your wife. Because you can be like, it's my wife. She embarrassed me. Okay.
Right.
On the mic.
But
I'd rather get embarrassed by that than another MC, like another that I wasn't, just words was working with.
yeah. They have their pros and cons, both situations.
Yeah, I'm sure you've weighed them both out.
Yeah.
Well, word, man, Miles, it's great catching up with you, man, and congrats on the album, congrats on the marriage, congrats on everything, man, and you're doing your thing. It's good to see.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
No doubt. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Leeds Edutainment podcast with special guest Milez Grimez. We'll talk soon, brother.
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
Later, buddy.
Peace.